What up, everyone? Switched up chilling Saturday stream as before. Well, you may wonder, well, so if it's gonna be a chill stream, why not doing some super mirror like Mario Randomizer? Uh, Two problems. One, Game Guy is not at his smallest place, which he has a game. He's not really feeling so well, so even if he do show up in the stream, he might not even talk as much. So you guys are at least aware of that problem. So yeah, what I have been up to today? Not much at all. I mean, weekends for that to just relax, don't do much. I mean, I do as a kid, you play around with your friends and when you're older, just hang out with some other. Do I even hang out with any friends on the weekends? Not really. Is a lonely. Not really at all. Um, I do you think I am have no friends at all other than from online? The fact is, I do have friends, but they don't live in the same place as I do. They're different town, and of course they have their own lives. In fact, even my own best friend, he lives in a town over where I live, same age. Just but the thing is, he actually got married earlier than that at all. I also learned. I actually learned it from a. So I was like, what? He got married, and he didn't tell me. His best friend of all people. I mean, that was just even though I go to his wedding. Well, even though I was disappointed and shocked at the most, but even his wife is just a few years older. He's actually 34, and his wife is in his her early 40s. I think 42. They don't even have any kids together yet, though. But even though if they would have, they might have to start doing thinking about it though. But I don't know. The weekend actually has just been most of this has it's this. Um, what else have been over my friends? Other than my best friend got married this year, which I wasn't even aware of. um, I do have a few friends, but I really don't spend time with them. It's most because of that they had their own lives and their own partners. At least one of my friends is engaged, I think. um, there is one of my friends that I hadn't even talked to like in years. I mean, someone like, okay, if you haven't even talked to her in years, why not just try to track her down on social media? Oh, I only know for a fact the only social media I have, other from YouTube. Yep, YouTube is a social media. People don't get confused on that. The other social media that I know of is Facebook. The only one I actually have. So if I were to reach out to sort of to that my close friend on Facebook, um, that might be just a small problem. Now these days, people can actually have multiple accounts. For maybe that reason, they may have multiple accounts. Maybe because they were, I don't know. Maybe it's because they they lost the password to the old one, so they decided to make a new one, or having multiple ones as a backup. I did had at one point had two accounts, but I hadn't even used a new one in well in several years. And even if I want to do that, I actually forgot the password to that one. And oh, okay, game goes here. But basically, the reason why I needed to try to get Kima to fight my old friend again on Facebook, well, last time I checked, she had a few accounts, and I really don't know exactly how many are. And if I had to go for let's say there are like 10 accounts she has, and I had to go for all the 10. I don't know if how many of those are actually active or those who is not active anymore. So yeah, that's just crazy though. But it is actually not uncommon these days that people have more than just one account. And I did actually ask my parents only a couple of days ago. Like we were just talking about Elon Musk, since he's one of the richest people now in the world. That Trump actually visit his space center in Texas, talking about about reusing spacecrafts that Elon Musk designs being worked on. So we were just talking about Trump and then about Elon Musk, and then eventually we talked about how Musk took over the ownership of Twitter, now known as X. Yeah, that's weird. I mean, think about it. Twitter, it was just added from the beginning, Twitter, and it had a symbol of a bird, Twitter. And now they decided to just change the name to X.com. Yeah, that's kind of a bit weird. But I asked my parents if they had any idea how many accounts there are active on Twitter or X. They don't even know. So I looked it up. 586 million people are active. But then I know for a fact that only a couple of years ago, Facebook had, at the time, about 2 billion active users. But like I said, people can have multiple accounts, and also, in fact, how many of those accounts are even still active? Uses that. So I did check. Recently, or at the same time when I checked about Twitter's account, 3 billion Facebook. But it doesn't make sense. Because how is it possible that there are 3 billion in the world has accounts on Facebook, even if you don't include the multiple accounts? Well, the thing is, as my dad told me, doesn't seem so logical that there are 3 billion active accounts on that site, considering that that's more like 3 billion is almost more than population of the world. Like it's like you combine both China and India's population altogether. I mean, China's population is 1.4 billion. India's Facebook to have 3 billion accounts. Well, I don't even know for a fact of that though. Oh man, that's just yeah, including why. Yeah, game got you're right. I mean, why would they change the name from Twitter to X? It doesn't makes no sense of that. I mean, but before Elon Musk took over as the ownership, it was just known as Twitter. And it was easy to understand because when they're talking about social media, people immediately recognize sort of the big ones like Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and so on. But if now the people are asking, like even younger generations, like the younger kids that start, like say, let's say that now it's going to be kids, like say, that's still very much young, like say from 4 to 6 years old, and maybe start to looking into like social media, like Twitter and the thing that is called X.com. And even though maybe there's a younger one say X.com, but some older generations, like some of our own, we may not actually say, wait, X.com? What are you talking about? It's Twitter. Even though most of our generation, even younger ones, and maybe even older generation, have been aware and it as Twitter. I don't think that no one actually will ever forget that it was used to call Twitter. But here's a funny fact that I actually learned about before Elon Musk took over it. Like I said, he bought Twitter. But here's the thing. There were some, at one point, he actually considered not to even go through this deal. And he was threatened with a lawsuit if he didn't even try, even complete the deal. I was like, what the? I mean, if this his own, it is his money, his life, and if he wanted to complete the whole deal, I mean, it's crazy. So Elon Musk did buy Twitter and renamed it as X.com, which is kind of a bit weird. I don't understand why in that. But the same thing. There is actually one other social media that people are also using daily basis. And maybe not many people don't know. Let's see how many accounts does this. Um, I don't know if Game Guy knows this particular social media. And I think he said that he doesn't even have any form of social media, like Facebook or anything. But in fact, he do have one social media. And he streams on it from time to time. And yes, YouTube is in fact a social media. I wasn't even aware of that for like months ago or like over a year ago. I always thought that it was like it's just another website where you can serve, upload videos, watching videos, and like that. But it turned out it was actually social media. I mean, it has all the categories that are classified as one as well. Like it has its chat function and have a live stream service and all that. So YouTube is an active service as an actual social media. And as of now, it's about 2 billion active users on the site. It's just crazy. And I mean, even as the Twitter, there's like 3 billion users. But even the sits on Google, 3 billion active users, you may have to take an account. How many percentage is actual people and not just not bots? I mean, even as social medias like Instagram, now these days, people actually using um, Instagram not only because to be an influencer, but also to marketing. A lot of organizations, companies, are actually using social media like Twitter, Facebook, or even for movies. I was like, okay, that might not bad, not bad. Because if you're looking back when our parents in our age, media was even a thing. The only thing for people to brand any form of, you know, marketing for products or movies was TV or in the magazines or the newspapers. But now we have the social media. It's kind of strange how, let's say in 20 to 30 years, how that game guy, it is true that even though there were this block feature that but Elon Musk changed that Elon Musk did this so that he could so that Trump um, so Trump can actually maybe on Twitter all that. So basically, it's just that. But unfortunately, for as many people, social media actually also have been became a really big problem. Many young teenagers and even kids these days are really so hooked on the social media like Instagram, Twitter, all that kind of stuff, including TikTok. There were actually even talks about banning a complete TikTok ban in the US. I mean, people like, is that even possible? Well, unfortunately, it is. Anywhere in their country. And it actually happens. Several countries in the world have total ban on several websites, including like Facebook, social media, anything like that, and including YouTube. For not just spreading like propaganda of North America, but North Korea. There is only like free website that is existing. And here's the thing: if you're in a local store, you had to send an application to the government. Only they would approve. And if you lived in North Korea, if you weren't going to have to live there, that is one thing that you probably want to have to know about. That your normal haircut um, you have would have been allowed. They only like I think there's like 6 official approved hairstyles for men and women in North Korea. And you may think, since North Korea is the most insulated country in the world, is it even possible to even go there as a tour? You can only travel to North Korea as a tourist, but as a group, not as a single sole traveler. That's the problem. And how many people in the world, how many countries, an embassy in North Korea? None. There are actually no embassy that's have this, or there's like, and there is like enough, no official ambassadors have a power seat in the US or in North Korea. Well, except for Sweden, though. I mean, we do have this kind of special uh, relationship with them. I mean, considering during Trump's first presidency, when he term of president, but he was pretty close to start a nuclear war between North Korea and US. So Sweden, we stepped in to de-escalate the whole thing, which worked. So yeah, but you can't travel to North Korea and all that. But it's just some of the. I mean, a lot of people hate North Korea, and here's a one crazy law about North Korea. Let's say if your grandfather made a crime, he could be arrested for that. Not only him, but his, but that means his son, your dad, also would end up in jail, and you. So for that, so despite if your grandfather did a certain crime, so not only him, but your dad and yourself could end up in jail at the same time. Crazy. I came up with an interesting idea for an audio story, Cozy Globe and Tularola. I don't know if I know that one, with that character. Um, Block the person, whatever reason. Oh, you're referring to that one, the person that said those comments on over, like the bad ones, who said that particular word. Game guy. Yeah, I don't know who Tularula is. Ah, okay, if you block someone on Twitter, it doesn't really mean much. Yeah, I want to know since I don't really have account on the on Twitter or X. Um, and how long the stream will last? Will it be? I thought maybe half an hour or so, or an hour. Why? You had to go somewhere, or I mean, you don't have to stay here for that long. Okay, now I get. Rulatula is actually a character from G4. If you remember the episode where Twilight were when her friends talked about the book that the book of friendship that they made, how they were so popular apparently, how many tours and all that, and how those two and that there were two young fellas fighting. One of them is Tula, Rula Tula. But that is the name is from. I wasn't really sure myself, since yeah, there have been so many characters over the years. You know, I'm actually a bit pissed at Hasbro. I mean, the fact that they decided to cancel J4 back in 2019, yeah, that was more like a small background character or a small role. Um, but yeah, I'm really disappointed, a little bit pissed that Hasbro decided to just cancel, you know, G4 back in 2019. Now, in 2024, it's official. G5 is officially canceled. So I was like, whoa. So that means, what the next few years, are we expecting Malapumi G6? People, yeah, we might have to expecting Malapumi G6 within the next 2 to 3 years. Who knows? I mean, it's just a bit strange if you think about it. 2019 G4 was officially ended, and around 2021, G5 came out around, and only last years. Now, as a funny artist told me when I told her about it, she said maybe in the next 2 years or so we might actually see the next generation. But if that will it still be in Equestria, or will it be in a whole brand new one? Because if you think about it, in G1, G2, and G3, the main six, I was yeah, I was a bit disappointed when that happened. 2019, of the end of G4, when they actually brought some of the other characters like Discord, I was blown mind that Discord was not voiced by John Delancey, but in fact, by the same voice actors that makes the voice for Big Mac. I was like, what the? Of the Pony Life was just, uh, It was a freaking mess. It didn't look at all as from the original series. I mean, come on, that was just a pretty bad mess. Is Pinky, despite that she was working at Sugarcube Corner, so selling, well, sweets and all that, but she was selling something else at that place. Potions. But she was not the one who made them. There was another pony who actually made those potions, and the Pinky sold them for her. And I don't know her, I don't remember her name, but that Pinky sold, it turned out that she was a unicorn. But in some scenes, in one particular show, those episodes which I didn't see, she was an alicorn. Several scenes. If that happened once, okay, that might happen just maybe it's the same thing, but multiple times, I don't know. Could that have been an actual an alicorn, but disguised as unicorn? Who knows? But many people just a bit weird. So yeah. And another thing that I actually had mentioned in my previous streams, I actually haven't done any much stories lately, like any much love stories at all. It just I kind of like lost interest and passion for it. It's not like permanent or anything. It's just it happens. I do have a few stories that has one that has hadn't even been worked on yet, and one I'm actually working on, but just one is this Apple Bloom story, one is Celestia story, and another is about the Scootaloo. And I haven't really decided from whether if that's going to be an audio or just a normal text music. At the moment I haven't decided yet. But I have been working on a few other Geisho Streams quiz updates on one. Like the one I previously finished off yesterday was about SCP Foundation movies. What else was it? Man, there was a few. Right, Avatar, like the Last Airbender, and Legend of Korra. Also finished that off. Now there's only backrooms left to take care of. I do have a few other quests in mind based on movies. I wish that I could done one about a Swedish movie or something, but I don't know. If I could find a movie again somehow, I would. But if I can't, well, it might make my loss. Well, I really have no idea about this. So what else to do today? Not ago, before the stream started, I actually took a nap right before after dinner and just I was still a bit groggy, but now not. Yeah, I don't know. Actually, kind of bored, and I know since you're not feeling well. I mean, it's that I don't mind doing some or I mean, yeah, I thought so. Oh man. Well, not much actually. Might just go for some. Finally, go back to make some stories again, but yeah, I have to decide for which one to do since my email alone, I think maybe at around 1,700, like 1,700 or even 1,800 mails just about shippings. Ooh, that's gonna take me like years. Oh man, that's just gonna be. I mean, I have already done like what 720 stories have been uploaded on my channel already. So and there are some stills that hasn't even been uploaded. So of all the stories I had, there were several over the past few years that I have unfortunately had to remove and re-upload due to some copyright issues of that. Robert, we actually figured out who she were. I looked at the person that character up, and she was the one that's yeah, that one the episode where Twilight and her friends were talking about the book they made and how they the other opponents thought it was just some public stunt or something like that. But seeing how Tula Rola and her friend actually believe in all they read about it in the book. So yeah. Um what are we talking about? Yeah, it came out for that what I was just talking about. Oh man. But yeah, I mean, having so many stories in mind, it's just Cozy Globe Ruler Tola Ruler. Hmm. Yeah, you know, I might actually may pull that off. It just I just don't know exactly when, honestly. Oh, there is one thing that actually came to my mind. This is something I haven't told anyone else except for Five Artists. This is like a this isn't like a bad thing, anything at all. But just surprising enough, as you know, you can leave comments on my videos, like past ones and then new ones. I just ask you for some storage requests or saying just hi, how you like that. Well, uh, that actually happened to me about a month ago, or at least almost a month ago. There was this person that started leaving comments in multiple videos. And not working, it's nothing I need to be worrying about in that way. For my stories and how she felt happy to see them, that she liked the stories and all that. And I was like, okay, I mean, this is not the first time that's happened. But then this person actually confessed to her true feelings for me, like, with me, or at least have a crush on me. But here's the plot twist: she was 10 years old. Yeah, she is 10 years old. And I was just like, don't worry again, guy. Don't worry. I have a, they actually have peaceful ending on that one. So don't worry. Um, yeah, I know, game guy. I know. Reminds me of what would happen to you. So no worries, no worries. This person actually still sometimes told me that that she was 10 and it's going to be 11 sometimes later this year, and how she's going to see her family out of country. She's American, but she knew for a fact that if her parents find out of her crush on someone who is way older, they will be really upset about her. And but she knew that I have someone already in my life. She even said that she hoped that Five Goddess isn't isn't mad at her, which, well, to be fair, I never even told Five Goddess about this until much later on. And Five Goddess, she wasn't even upset about it. She said like, "Oh, that's sweet. I mean, that's like a crush." But Here's the things that really turned it for the good thing, though. She eventually told me that she did actually find someone else, a boy, who was only only a year older. I think he was about 11 or 12, a fifth grade, and that he was her new crush. But sadly, that didn't work out as much as she had hoped for. It turned out her mom was not much alike to that boy, but now she has a new crush, and she thinks that he likes her as well. And yeah, so at least that turned out to be in a good way. From like, even though she had a crush on me, which first I think it's some people may think, oh wait, that's inappropriate. They're like, you're an adult, she's a kid. Well, I mean, you can't blame anyone from other people to fall in love with you or even start falling a crush on you. I mean, like for example, let's say you live for this. You're a kid and you like an actress or a singer who's like in her 20s or even her 30s, and you're still as a kid, maybe as 10 years old, and you still have a crush on her, but you know that's not going to happen because the age difference and that she's a famous person that she may not even have any time for that. And to her, you're nobody. Not to, and another, to her, you don't even exist because she isn't even aware of you. So in this, as from my end, as from my response to this, that um, well, I mean, game guy, it's just like understand of how people might just feeling, I mean, it's just you can never actually telling. What I'm trying to say is you never know how other people react. I mean, another thing is I I was like 9 or 10 years old myself, and I understand from this. First, in this, or people fall in love with me for all this. I mean, girls for all sake. Like, first, Crystal, and three, this young girl, which I mean, I admitted, and I didn't feel the same way. I mean, and she knew that, and she knew I had someone already in my life, and she also knew that, in fact, allowed it to happen. I mean, this really took me a big surprise when I one day I'm just looking in my comments in some of my old videos, like this girl just said that she liked my stories and how they brighten up her life and having a bad day. She's been, in fact, she even was being picked and bullied by some other people, other students in the school. So I understand how she felt because I went through this one myself. Even though I was not on the same age, but nevertheless, I know how she felt. But then it wasn't like only about later on, maybe just I think it was like a couple of days, maybe a week later, she actually posted another video in the comments that she had a crush on me when she did confess her actual age, that she was 10 years old and she was going to be 11. I mean, it's not like I didn't even know that. I didn't actually tell her to like back off or anything. I didn't even tell her to stop because she knew I was only dating someone else. And I did mention that in one comment as respond that I was dating someone for now for 6 years, and well, I mean, she did tell me that she had a crush on me, but that's it, like a simple, small childhood crush. And she even told me that I am her favorite YouTuber, and I feel honored. But she knows the fact crush it wouldn't even have worked out at all for many reasons. Like most of one, body law, it would not have been tolerated. It wouldn't have even been accepted by full-grown adult with a young kid as an in a romantic relationship. Yeah, no, it wouldn't have been accepted at all. But she later did telling the crush on another boy in who was only a year older. For her to she have moved on to find someone else to be in love with. It happens. It really happens. But like I said before, when her mom found out about it, at least about her having crush, well, let's say her mom was not happy about it. But now she has a crush on another boy who is, I think, around the same age. And I understand how some of my viewers or some of my friends like, okay, Switch Diablo, why are you allowed this to happen? Like she just confessed to you. I mean, first to my response that I didn't even know about it at first at all. I mean, she did confess to me about her feeling, how she had a crush on me until just only about a week after all that. Because the first few questions, the first few comments that she did leave was about how she was being picked by in school, how being bullied, all that. That actually is like being bullied at school. So that is one topic that I really felt like a connection to. Like not as a like a, it somehow connects us, not just her and me as in that, but to thousands, thousands of other people around the world who experience and how she is feeling left out like an outcast, even though she has friends. But I just want her to understand that I went through the same thing as myself. It's not easy to go through that like that and be bullied. And she did confess that she did have a crush on me, and I mean, I understand, I appreciate that she is honest about that. But it was like she's just like at the time she was just 10, and I mean she is just still learning about love and all that. And honestly though, the first relationship I had, I was like what 8, 9 years. Not at all. I mean, I didn't learn about romance like was when I was like a teenager. I did when I was like 8 or 9 when I had my first girlfriend. I mean, we didn't do much. Like we just hang out together at her place or my place, and that's it. Like no kissing or anything, holding hands or anything like that. I mean, to my defense, I was just adult. But as for this girl, the fact that she even had a crush on me, even though she eventually moved on, sure. But you know, someone. It happens just at random. I mean, as my friend Crystal Shan, as Game Guy knows, out of the blue. I wasn't even aware of that either. It just happened. but I mean, oh, I should mention one thing. Um, as for Game Guest's brother, Roy, who was at the time dating Deanna, who also told me in person, well, not in person, face to face, but on Discord, despite she was in a romantic relationship with Roy, she had a crush on two other people, me and Cody. I understood, I respected her, and I honestly, I like Deanna. I mean, if she wasn't even dating anyone, if I wasn't dating anyone, I probably could have considered myself dating Deanna. I'm just saying that. But it's just that I wouldn't, even if I was single, I wouldn't even do anything to be with her at all. Even if I liked, oh yeah, by the way, I'm single now, and she probably would have immediately breaking up with Roy just to be with me. She told Roy about it that she's just, you know, uh, that itself would have been a mess. And I remember at least one time when Roy was actually, blow up. But yeah, but I wouldn't even have done that there myself. Even if I was single, I would. I mean, my relationship didn't work out. That's what I thought. Now I decided to maybe to take a break from dating for a little bit of a while. In fact, okay, this has nothing to do neither years before I even met any of them. This was sort of even way before I was even. I believe this was even around before I started doing my stories, and or it was about at the same time. Um, it was this. I was dating a girl. She was actually just only about 3 years older than me. We actually went to the same school for time for that, and the last time I was her, well, it wasn't even that long, a couple of months maybe. I mean, we were dating on and off several times over the years. But after the last time, I felt I was like in my mid 20s by the time. I believe I was around 20 to 25. So I wanted to start a family at one point. I wanted to get married and all that. And she told me that the place where she was living at, it was like a type of group home. Um, she's like me, physically disabled. I am autistic. So basically, she told me when she was living there, if we were to get married, we would even have lived together. We would have to live separately. Another thing is, she didn't want to have any kids at all. And that was one of the few reasons I decided to end it with her. And yeah, people can blame me for being stupid for that was the most stupid reasons. Hey, I was just in my 20s and I still have my life. I mean, sure, we could have adopted a kid or something, but it was just that she may not even handle to take care of a kid. And so yeah, I broke up with her, and after that, I was single for. I decided to take a break from dating for about a year or so, but it didn't last for a year. No, not at all. Almost 7 years. And but at the time, I actually started talking to not Fi Goddess, but my previous for between her before her. Um, but yeah, it didn't last long either. Maybe a few months or almost 6 months, maybe. I don't even know for sure. But I mean, I'm still talking to her as a friend. I do. Um, I don't exactly. I don't remember exactly what happened. There was something about I. She said that I'm treating her like an old toy, and this was also at the same time I was start talking to Fine Goddess. And no, I wasn't cheating at all. She was the one who approached me on YouTube. Mostly at first, it was just friendly conversation in the comments. She just said, "Hi, how are you?" And eventually, we moved on to Facebook. And this was the time when she did confess her feelings for me, how she liked me. Be with her. She respected that I was in a relationship. And I had not kept on the lie. Even at that time when she confessed to me, I started to have some feelings for Five Artists also. Yeah, I might be a jerk, but I'm not a player, as you may think that it is. No. It just, I was actually, here's the thing. At that point, when I was in a relationship with one girl, when Five Artists told me that she has a love with, that she was a crush on me, or at least that she was in love with me, I was in a, I was in a top spot at that moment. You know, I was actually getting that. Not really. It's just I mean, this is like ancient history to me, and I have, and I don't think Feigl had any problems with telling this. It's just but I mean, I can always delete the stream afterwards. But the thing is, even though I did had two girls like me at the same time, I was really much in a top spot. I have no idea what to do. I mean, having two girls in love with me at the same time has never happened before them. So I really didn't know what to do. I mean, I loved both of them, but I know for a fact that they wouldn't even be as considered to be in like a double relationship that I had been dating two girls. I mean, it's not. I mean, it's not illegal to be dating two women at the same time if they're all also open for it. But if they were like, if I was married to two women, that's illegal. But dating two or maybe it's five girls at the same time, it's not illegal. It isn't. So what I do? Well, I mean, I could just simply just tell all fine artists that I'm flattered, but I decided to be what I want to be with. But I decided to just let fate to decide. And I said I was actually at the time, as still am. I have my own religious belief. I mean, I believe my own belief, my own religion that I came up with. So I allowed my religious belief to show me guidance, show me a way, to show me which one to stay with. So I came up with this idea. I would like lit eight matches. If it had burned short, if it burned like four short, and I would be with my previous ex, and if there was four long, it would have been I would have gone to be with Fine Girls. And well, it turned out my ex that in my relationship beliefs told me to work it out and be with my ex. So I did telling that to her, but unfortunately the damage was only done. There was it was nothing much I could do. I tried. I tried to work and salvage that particular relationship, but yeah, it didn't work out. But even afterwards, my ex and I still remain as good friends. I mean, I still like her, I still care about her, but I really don't. And she also found a new boyfriend and all. So, but the thing is, her family doesn't even know anything about new boyfriend. The only when I was dating her, the only one in her family that I talked to, other from her, was her older brother. But now it's a little bit tough spot for her family. It's just her older brother, and her dad. Since her mom passed away about a year ago, some I think it was some uh, I don't even remember exactly what it was, but it was pretty terrible. But she has an older sister who is also married. Lives in a different city though, but and she told me that she has some problems with her home. They believe that there are some more detect any black mold in your home. Call for help immediately. For black mold is not simple thing to just brush it off. It in a long run, in a long term exposure to that, it can have serious health problems like asthma kind of problem. Some of her own problems in the family, mostly about her younger brother. Sometimes she just be yelling, screaming, and I am surprised neither of her. And I'm surprised that none of the neighbors had even called the police on them. It's just that. Years, but you know, COVID happened, and her dad passed away around the same year that we were supposed to be in, that she was supposed to be coming over. Yeah, it just happened. Even though, even though I was at one point even considered, you know, not break up or anything. It was just pack my bags and go over there. So see her. But yeah, that's not happening. Well, as long as I live at home, that's not happening. My parents won't even allow me, despite that kind of language. But it's just, yeah, family won't even allow me to go see my girlfriend at all. I mean, it's just not because they don't. I mean, they know the fact I can the language well enough, and I mean, if I could speak some basic words in English, and it and I would going over there, and if I can't speak the language fluently, or at least the decent level, how would I even keep on getting around? You know, if I end up in a big city like say New York, and I have to leave the train station or something like that, and ask around for the directions, if I speak in Swedish or even sort of basic English words, like not the full conversation level, how would that anyone otherwise been make a getting around? You know, that's just a bit weird. But it's just there were a few reasons why my parents don't even allow me to go to the US. Um, well, I mean, first I had to get a passport, tickets, and all that, and that might take just a little bit time. But uh, mainly like insurance. My insurance may not even be will not even work over there. And some other things like, what about? Well, and some people saying right now about US is a total screw up country with all the shootings. But I don't think I'd say that. Okay, yep, it's true. US a lot of shootings. but it's not like the only one country in the world has. Even for the past just 5 years or so, there have been a lot more shootings in my own country as well, like more than usual. It's just that my family, or at least my parents, are worried if I would even if I could survive. And even if I were to move over to the US, they don't believe I can even survive there. How would I even survive? Like they don't even since by God is and her brother doesn't even work. Her mom is retired. So how would they even support me if I move over? Hmm? Well, I don't know. I mean, they had talked about getting a work for her, but it's just is. And sometimes when I hear the news about the US been happening, a lot of shootings, I'm like, welcome to my life, or welcome to hell. But it's not like I mean, US is not the only like the country in the world that has a lot of shootings. I mean, look at Venezuela in South America. They have also a lot of problems now, like a lot of corruption. I also saw this one particular video about US. Which state is probably the most safest and um, best to live as a house owner? Well, it's not in New York, because in that video it said that New York are hectic crazy, like they're running around and never stop. I mean, it's a big city. Can you even blame them? I don't even remember exactly which city or state that was the number one, the safest. At least at one point, even Washington State, that where Seattle is considered the most the safest state in the whole U.S. I heard even at Hawaii, that this was like years ago, that many goes to Hawaii for vacation and all that. It's a beautiful spot, but in general, or in realistically, top five places you even go to. It's expensive. It's some places are off limits, like they're too dirty, and some of the locals are the local Navy people, and the Americans who live there are just completely rude. I mean, I don't know for a fact if that any of that is true though. I mean, I have actually been there, but there is one place that most Americans don't want to live in, which is Florida, for reasons like there are some rude better places that aren't any people that are rude. People can be rude anywhere. So, but the main reason why most Americans don't want to live in Florida, hurricanes. I mean, Florida has the most impact of hurricanes the rest of the other neighboring states. So, yeah, probably like that. But if I had to go to the US for like, if it was vacation, I'd probably go to many like, oh yeah, he's going to see the Grand Canyon. Maybe. I mean, it's like I mean, as most people like, it's the biggest hole in the ground, and it's some like, "Meh, that's it, just a giant hole in the ground. I can make myself a little hole. I mean, it's incredible natural phenomena how that happened. It is. But if you have seen it multiple times after many visits, you're like, same more. But there's one place otherwise that this is not even in the US, but I think somewhere in Europe. This is deep, deep underground, like a crystal cave. Those crystals aren't small. Those solar crystals are so wide, almost wide as a person. They are not like just 2 to 5 feet long, but they're like several, like maybe as 20 or maybe 100 feet long or something like that. I think that place was big enough for even a plane could fit. But the problem is, you can't stay in that place for too long. It's dangerous. It's too humid. Like it's too warm down there. It's quite deep underground, though. I don't know how many people know this, but U.S. and Russia at one point actually were competing against each other for not in a space race as most are familiar with, but one is where they were drilling down in the ocean, like to see who could drill down the most deepest. Well, after a while, U.S. just shut down and they actually quit. But Russia, they kept going and going and going. They drilled as they the first is as they're drilling, it actually went way deeper as the most the deepest part of Mariner grave trench in an ocean. Russia actually drilled even deeper that depth, but they eventually stopped because the temperature was getting too warm. So yeah, I think they like drilled 0.02% of totals on the ground. Yeah, it was incredible. There is actually even a movie something like that where this is actually an American 2003 movie, I believe, called The Core, where suddenly the planet's core just stopped. And the magnetic field, well, it just suddenly to became unstable. First, after the next 3 months, the whole world's electronics devices would have been fried. After 4 year, the whole planet would have been cooked, in literally speaking. So they decided to drill down on the surface, like, but using some form of smaller, um, was it, drilling machines, drilling down at the deep to the planet's core to detonate nuclear bombs in order to restart the planet core. Well, they actually managed to do so, but you may think, is that realistically possible in real life? No, it isn't. Because there is nothing that can actually withstand that temperature as much. It's like, okay, what about drilling that? If they can drill in that sun that heat, what about something else like drilling or flying something in this our old sun's core? That if that was possible, it would have been an incredible achievement of that. But there is no possibility. One, the gravity. Two, the planet's core, the sun's core is way hotter than the surface. And yeah, it's like, okay, I even read this in a book somewhere years ago. If you were an astronaut in a full packed suit and all with the gears on your back, if you were somehow standing on Jupiter's surface, you wouldn't even able to move because you would be weighing like over 600 pounds. That is incredible. I did read something about that NASA and others want to build a new space station that will be able to spin. Yeah, you heard me right, spin, to create some form of gravity. And then you may ask, why not they just start spinning at the International Space Station right now to create that? Well, if they do, it won't even survive because it's not even built to stand that type of thing. Since NASA decided to extend the lifespan of the station to the year 2031, it feels like sometimes in the late 2020s, Russia is planning to withdraw from the project. On the station, well, I mean, you have to go through intense astronaut training, all that, but there is two things you are required. Well, mainly one, to learn Russian. Why? Well, a lot of part of the station is in Russian because Russia and US were the main part that have been setting up the models and the building station. And same thing is for the Russians. They are required to be learn to speak English and read English when they're on board a station. And that they're actually on board the station for about 6 months or so. And you can actually visit the station if you're rich enough. I mean, there have been multiple billionaires and millionaires that actually been to the station. I know for a fact people who have been at the station for about 6 months that they actually have a tight schedule. Maybe one like, where do you even sleep? Well, it turned out it's only one small quarters on board the station. But what about the rest of the crew though? Well, they're actually sleeping in sleeping bags which is attached to a wall. So they're sleeping in that and have like a blindfold on them so that they can sleep. Since they actually experience more than I think what sunrise and sunsets in their just in just one day for them. They they really don't even interact much on board the station, only when they're eating. And their main food, well, the only thing that they aren't even there are two things that aren't allowed up there, which is like alcohol, mainly from my understanding. Um, and nothing like that at all. Candy, maybe. Chips, not allowed. Because if there are anything that do crumble that can create crumbles, it can be dangerous for the electrical system, including as for basically anything. What about coffee? Well, fun fact: the station actually had their own espresso machine for a short time back in 2015. That it, but it was like, whoa, wait. Since they can actually be using a coffee machine, well, this one was actually designed to use less water in a machine because even even juice boxes can't be allowed on the space station either, considering any small drop of water or anything like that floating around may seem harmless, but if it would hit the wall, it can be dangerous because you never know for a fact what system could be damaged. If it has a short circuit on the power system, think about it. The main power source is the solar panels. If there's only one small circuit, it doesn't even have spare parts, meaning no power means no air. That means they will suffocate. And the station, well, they actually don't even use, when they are showering, well, if you even call that shower, they don't even use water at all. They actually using some sort, man, I can't even speak today. A type of shampoo that does not require any water at all. If they really need to clean, they have to use like those, like a, how to say, baby wipes to clean off themselves. And the and they don't even they do in fact get supplies of the station from time to time, but the main water source they use is to be recycled. So every time they use the bathroom, that is separate the water, which will recycle to be clean water that they can drink again. I mean, it sounds gross, but it's it's the only way that they can do, because they can't be relying on NASA or any other organization to send up constant new supplies of water oxygen or like that. It's it's very expensive. And since NASA shut down the space shuttle program, they have been heavily been NASA have been heavily dependent on European Space Agency, maybe Japan and Russia for supplies. And but since NASA actually started developing a new space program again, like new rockets, and luckily, SpaceX, this private company that Elon Musk owns, had actually agreed to send up using their service to send up people to the station and supplies, which is a good thing. So yeah, what is it mostly food that the astronauts eat? Mostly dry. There's not any normal food actually, but it's most like dry food, like fried food, dry. Man, I can't even speak today. Dry, freeze dry food like that. But it's like normal food as we eat, but just have been special prepared. I wish that I could even go to space, or at least just in your part of the atmosphere, or at least part of the edge of the space and back down again. If I could, that'd be awesome. Just the feeling of floating around, you know. And some people may wonder, has there been any astronauts that have been lost in space? No, they haven't. I mean, if you don't count the ones who died in the re-entrant. Unfortunately, there was some cosmonauts, Russian astronauts, that died when their personal shuttle they burned to death. Same thing for Apollo 1. They were actually on the platform in the spaceship when the cabin or the cockpit was in blaze. They wouldn't even have even left the surface yet. So even though it wasn't even named Apollo 1, it was named something else. But now NASA actually is in a full development for Artemis program. Artemis 1 was an unmanned. Artemis 2 was going to be the first manned orbiting around the moon and back. And Artemis 3 will be the one that's going to be landing on the moon. Yeah, I know, game guy. Be past the 1 hour mark. Yeah, I probably can go for just a bit longer. But the space station that we have now will eventually retire. And like many previous space stations, it will be pushed into Earth's low orbit and burn up. It's kind of strange how you're thinking about it. On all the previous space stations, including American ones, there was only one that was the biggest interiorly, Skylab. That interior was almost like twice the size of the length of the pod models that ISS using. And you may ask, why does that even? But how is it possible they were even bigger compared to the current one? Well, the current is because they're the new ones, so they were built from 1998 and onwards. And then the Skylab, they was actually using old parts from a Saturn V rocket. So the answer is this. There is actually some plans for building a new space station, but not on around Earth, but around the moon. They have already made some designs of that one, so yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see how we manage to pull that off. I actually had even asked this AI, yeah, and an AI on a website called Deep AI. You can actually chat it, or even chat, and I actually be using that from time to time, just asking, especially when I want to do something about cryptids for like quiz or based on that. So I always asking the AI if there's any further updates on new information, things like that. Of course, also use it for space. I was asking, how many people could be living on the moon? Since in Star Trek there were 50 million people that lives on the surface, and it's like there's like 5 times more than Sweden's population is. So it's a possibly that they could have some large population since if the power system is by using solar panels. Then what about Sirius, the biggest asteroid? It's like more than half the size of the moon. Well, it could also still be using solar energy as the main power source. It could have a population of at least a few thousand people. Uh, then I thought about Pluto. Well, due to the fact that distant from Earth and from the sun and most of it, it was about maybe as 50 people if it's a small base. If it's a larger, long-term colony, maybe a few hundred people. Oh, I really came up with. I just thought something. This has nothing to do with space, but game guy, you remember that the Powerpuff Girls live action series, right? Well, how about that? I learned something new about it. In other words, it's not actually. Since that show was early to be in the development, but now it's literally heard this. When they decided to make the first episode, the pilot episode for um, Powerpuff Girls live action series, it was so bad that they had to reboot the whole first pilot episode. I mean, it was so bad. Oh man, and get this: the person who told us in this video, the script for the first pilot episode was 61 pages, and it literally revealed a lot more information. How the first, if this Powerpuff Girls live action series would even be possible. I mean, it eventually was canceled, but the first episode was so bad. I mean, they were recording it, right? But in the afterwards, the aftermath, it was so bad that they had to remake the whole thing. But here's the plot twist that they actually learned from the, original script. Plutonium, He actually was their father created them, and he actually forcing them to wear the same clothes because apparently that he is the sole profit from the merchandise, the toys like dolls, and they're wearing the same clothes. But another thing is, Mojo Jojo in the series wasn't even a monkey. He was a human, and he was actually Professor Tonium's um, partner. And they also gave Professor Tonium his first name, Derek. And get this, it turned out that Mojo Jojo was actually his real name was Mojo Mondale, and his younger son Mojo Jojo, I believe, he was running for re-election as the mayor of Townsville. Another plot twist is you know the Sarah Bellum, the mayor's assistant. Well, get this. In the first episode was just so bad he had to remake it. It turned out Miss Bellum and Professor Tonium was dating on and off throughout the entire series. And another thing is, her actual face was gonna be shown in the series. It's a plot twist in that. And yeah, I mean, it was just so. I mean, I understand if the whole series. I mean, if they had done this actual series and it was aired and all that, thinking about it, anyone who has grown up of watching the original Powerpuff Girls and the reboot and the animated Powerpuff Girls, man, I can't even speak. Powerpuff Girls C, yeah, you understand how really bad it was. They were similar in many that perspective, but as a live action, like okay, giving the professor an actual first name, I don't see anything wrong in that. I mean, just I can accept that at least, and that the professor was dating Sarah Bellum on and off. That was actually kind of interesting to see it, and that they would have shown her actual face. I would have been a big plot twist. Serious, but not only that the professor was a little bit like a douchebag, that he's forcing the girls to wear the same clothes. And even in this series each years, and that they force him to wear the same clothes due to the fact of the profit that he will earn from the merchandise about the pop girls. Seriously, that's just taking advantage of them. But to changing another major part in the whole franchise, changing Mojo Jojo from a monkey to a human to be his partner. And well, technically, so if you think about it, and there was another reason why he also wanted this. The professor, if I understood correctly, he also wanted to use the plutonium, the chemical X, so that he could be a superpower human himself for his own personal gain. And turning the Mojo Yo-Yo from a monkey to a human, also to a former partner to Professor, I was like, what the? Oh man, that's just a big plot twist. I mean, that's just, it was a huge, like, boom. I mean, seriously. Another thing that Mojo Jojo's son, well, actually, since his name wasn't Mojo Jojo, but Mojo Mondale, if I could remember correctly, had his youngest son was the current mayor and was trying to be reelected, and even that Mojo Mondale's son had a monkey as a pet, which was called Mojo Jojo. So at least they kept part of it as in the series, but Mojo Jojo's son was also, I think, if I understood right, that he also were the bad guy. So I mean, I only know for a fact that this were talked about making a live action series based on this, but I wasn't even aware. Oh, none of this because I was just it happened. I just looked last night, Pop Girls live action on YouTube, but just see if there's any if if there were any form of leaked scenes behind the scenes or if they actually had made their first official trailer for the whole series. But no, there was nothing like that. But that's when I came across a video mentioning how this series' first episode, the pilot, was so bad that they had to remake it. I mean, okay, how bad had it to be in order to have it remade? It is so mind go. I mean, it's just mind ball. My mind is blowing up for that part. I mean, I have seen a lot of series that were bad, but this it had to be there's a really reason for it had to be so bad. It had to be remade. I mean, come on. I mean, it's just like what if they decide to make a Phineas and Ferb series as the live action, and the first episode turns out so bad they had to remake as well? I mean, that would be weird. But when I first heard about this Powerpuff Girls as a live action series, I was actually a little bit hesitating, but I was also a bit curious to see how this is going to be turn out. But as many of my friends and viewers are already aware of my opinions about the Disney's live actions remakes, where yeah, it's pretty bad, to be honest. But yeah, but I was curious. Just been saying, I mean, since they already made a reboot and they made an anime version of the series, so I was curious, how would it be like if they actually made a live action, just to be able to pull that off? But yeah, apparently that was so bad that they had to be remade. I mean, what in a world that had to pull off? I mean, what action made so bad they had to remake the whole thing? But at least the series now is officially canceled. But I have to say this though, even if the series now is officially canceled, it might be possibility sometimes in the future it might even be back. I mean, it's not like it's not impossible. Hey, honestly, the Jungle Book one wasn't really that bad. Well, that depends if you're talking about Disney's version, but if you're talking about the others, I don't know. I mean, there have been a few others over the years. Oh, that remake, which I haven't seen, but they actually made I believe it was, I believe it was in the 90s or early 2000s. There were actually a mini series based on the Pinocchio series, but not American. It was made in Italy. I do believe I actually saw that one. And the funny part, well, actually not funny, but the most off with Pinocchio is that during the time when in the original book was made, you know, um, as we know in the Disney's version, how he was still as a puppet, but turned into a living boy. But in the original book about Pinocchio, it was not even aiming remotely to that. Instead, the Blue Fairy somehow used her magic and pulled the soul of Pinocchio. A living boy. And there is actually a picture in that original book about Pinocchio where he's standing next to his old puppet body who is just laying on the floor. It's a bit strange on how that happened. And that some of the Disney's versions of Brother Grimm's stories, the mermaid Ariel, it's not one of the Brother Grimm's stories either, but it's actually from H.A. What's his name again? Oh man, H.A. Christensen, I believe his name, but he was from Denmark who made the story. The mermaid fell in love with a young human prince, but she never told him, and she was told the only way for her to have her broken heart to prevent from dying, she had to stab the prince with a knife and his new wife in order to prevent herself from dying. Because if she did die, her body would turn into sea foam. But she didn't have the heart to do it. She couldn't she couldn't do it. So she died herself. In the original book though. Okay, why are you screaming, game guy? Like eternally screaming? Oh man, it's just Disney had a lot of good movies, and I actually seen the most recent trailer for the Snow White movie that's gonna be released next year. I actually saw it didn't look that bad, honestly though. It looked a bit different. But I also saw this about earlier this week. They have officially released the first pictures from the first live action of Moana, with Joe Johnson as Maui, and I have to say it looked bad, not bad, but looked cool. I haven't seen the first movie or the second yet, though, of Moana. But that, if you were in my country, if you were to look at that movie up, it's not even called Moana. It's called Vaiana. Yeah, that's pretty surprising, though. Um, you know, Malachite, Sword of Stone is not even going to be a live action anytime soon. They actually pulled that off. That was actually on the list of the. It was then eventually put on hold on it. The same thing as from Hunchback of Notre Dame. Pocahontas is not even going to be a live action because of cultural sensitivity. But here's the thing of one I think fans all over the world knows that the first Aladdin movie had a sequel of Jafar's Return. But here's the thing. And now that the fact that which is a possible sequel to that movie, other the first live action, it's just a big surprise of how that if it's going to be one. But at the same time, how would they even pull that off? Because they made a huge difference in the first remake of Genie wanted to be free so that he could travel around the world as what he did. But instead, in the remake, he turned to wish to be human. Um, Jasmine's maiden, or her maid, and eventually have 2 kids with her. So how would it even possibility for it to be a possible sequel if the genie is now human and nothing else? Well, how do you pull that off? Unless his magic is somehow returned to some other thing, or his kids somehow gain access and own genie powers that may not even believe that happening, you know? So, but yeah, Hunchback Notre Dame, uh, as a live action, was actually made many, many, many years ago. I think the very first one they actually made was the black and white version. That is, you know, Monica, there were talks about making that as a remake of Disney one. The thing is, when they were going to do that, they were actually going to take parts from the original book of the Hunchback and from the Disney's first original cartoon version, putting both the elements from the original book and the Disney's version into the live action. So how that would even that work out, I don't know. And I know for a fact that Game Guy also has his own opinions about the live action movies, but I know for a fact when he saw the live action version of Stitch, he was like, when he first heard it's gonna be a live action version of that, um, they were like, I don't know how what he will say, but like may have been like, come on, really? But when he saw the trailer list of how he looked, it looked really amazing. I think at least Disney had learned from one fact when they made when the one that made Sonic the movie from his first design. I admit, I'm actually curious to see how this Lilo and Stitch movie will turn out. But mostly not only for Stitch, but I'm also curious of how Jumba, his creator, will look like, and Peakley, the other assistant, and yeah, like Gunta, Lecanto, the captain. I mean, it's gonna be awesome. I admit. I'm looking forward to seeing the first trailer on that. But I know there is actually one. There were this one actor that was supposed to be in the series, the first movie, but he was actually fired from it due to some, I think it was DUI, and that he was in a fight or something. So he was replaced with that. I think it was like one or two previous characters from the original series was gonna actually be reprising their uh, voice in a new live action. I think it was like a neighbor or something like that. It's gonna be interesting to see that turn out. If Kosugalo and Tula Rola got married, how they react if they were neighbors was Vinyl Scratch. Oh wow! Well, at least I hope they tell you Vinyl to just be quiet the most at nights, at least, so they don't have to have so loud parties. but another thing, since Vinyl doesn't even she doesn't even live her own. She lives with Octavia as a roommate. So if they're telling Octavia to telling Vinyl just in case keep it down sometimes so they can actually sleep in the middle of the week. I know for a fact one time my family had this. Our first neighbor had a party, which lasted longer than it's supposed to. In my country,
What are we even talking about anymore?
I don't even know.
This is such a important question. I unmuted myself. Like, what are we? Like, what is this? What are we even discussing anymore?
Right.
Uh,
But yeah, I mean, it's just having vinyl as a
Frankly,
neighbor. That would be weird.
yes, it would. Like, why would they specifically move next to vinyl in the first place? Like, what would lead them to that conclusion? What is Quincy Gallo gonna say? Do you see that house right there? It's like a combination of classic and not classic. Let's move there.
Well, that depends. I mean, we don't even know if they have been friends before then, or if one of them only lived there at the time. You know,
Oh my
that's
goodness.
another thing. You don't know
Also,
if
just to talk about it real quick, I feel like I almost don't want them to make a live action Stone in the Sword in the Stone because it's like there's gonna be something that they fuck up, and that one singular thing is gonna be that it's gonna be like, oh my god, I can't believe they screwed this up, and I know for a fact
yeah.
that someone is going to overhype it.
Tell me about it. I mean, that's just like when I was referring to the Aladdin movie.
I
Since the
hate it when
original
people
has,
do that.
yeah,
Do you
and
know
since the
how
original,
obnoxious that like
yeah,
when they
it is.
made
I
what did they I forget which live action movie it was, but for one of the live action movies, everyone was like, I can't wait to see this. Oh my god, it's gonna be so amazing. Best movie they ever made. Shut up. Do you know what I mean? Because it's like when everyone's like excited for the same thing, it's like it doesn't sound as natural. Like they just want to see this one thing and then that's it. What about the rest of the movie? You know what I mean? Like for the Lion King, it's like, oh, I wonder how they're gonna do the Simba death scene when it first came out. They did it terribly, but my point is, it's like it just
and
doesn't
as for us,
seem natural anymore when people are like
yeah,
overhyping something.
I mean, I mean, when they were making the live actions, they make some huge difference. Like in Aladdin, they decided to make the genie as a human, but now
Exactly. Why would they change
they put
that? It was
exactly
fine before. Why would they change it? I mean, it's an interesting change. That doesn't
equal,
make it
but
good.
that. But here's the plot twist, though. How would that even pull it off? Because if you remember,
If they did a movie.
he was freeze
Oh,
and he
you
could
know what
travel
they're
worlds.
probably gonna do?
And in
You
live
know
action, he
how
was a
you know how Ariel well you know how Ariel has the ability to go back and forth from being a human to a mermaid? They're probably gonna do the same thing, except the genie can go back and forth from being a genie. There's some bullshit
possible.
way, I don't know. Maybe he'll find another lamp and wish for him back or
Mm,
something.
but there is another thing about the one of the
My
Beauty and
question is
Beast.
my question is
In
how
the
they gonna
original about this, even the lead scenes.
the massive fight CGI. That's
Mm,
literally the only
well,
way
I
I
think
can
that's like
think of
that.
right
But
now.
in the original, yeah, but as the original of Disney's movie about Beauty and Beast, is that in the deleted scenes, they were supposed to mention about her Belle's mother who had passed away some time before them. And in the live action, they actually added that she died when she was just as an infant. And I think I mean, there's like no bad in that. It's just, you know, I mean, it's just, I mean, they only added a scene mentioned that's supposed to be in the original. So in that perspective, I don't think that's bad at all. They just added something that was supposed to be in the original.
I don't even know what part of Sword in the Stone you're even referencing, but like
But there is one other thing about the live action of this Beauty and Beast that was the most shocking. And
the
that's
auto, the bad auto tone.
not really. If you remember, as in the live action, it turned out the villagers they were not aware of the castle or anything about its
Oh,
history
right.
because
This one they forgot everything, didn't they?
yeah, because the same fairy that gave the beast, or as his other sometimes name is Adam for some unknown reason, she made that as she turned everyone at the castle to the furnitures and all that, the objects, she put the spell everyone in the tent in the
Oh,
village.
well, okay.
So
To
they
be
forget.
fair, it's been forever since I've seen the movie, and I'm not one for the musical numbers. I know, you can kick my ass later, but I mean, none of them are ever natural. It pisses me off. Like that's a hot take that I will stand by
Yeah,
till the day I die. I hate it when they
yeah,
just sing out of fucking nowhere.
but
It is such an immersion breaker. But
but yeah, but another thing about this Beauty and Beast live action remake is that it's as it's part of the original. When the last rose petal had fallen, if anyone hasn't fallen in love with the Beast, he would have remained as Beast, which happened in both versions though. But in the original,
hmm,
the staff they would have remained as living objects. But in the remake, it was complete opposite. It was they turned into actual things. Another plot twist, though. It turned out that the
that was
blacksmith.
loud.
Uh, but another plot twist is that the blacksmith in the village is the husband and the father of Ship and Mrs. Potts. And the Gaston's supposed short friend turned out to be gay in the new version. Okay, I don't judge that at all. I mean, if they wanted to do that in a remake, understandable. And Malachite is here.
I'm still holding on to my hot take. I don't care.
Well, I mean, another thing about the live actions of especially the Disney's version of, uh, right, Aladdin. If you remember that prince in live action, in the original, how supposed to be, uh, talking about marrying Jasmine. And turns out he is going to have his own version of his movie. And the thing is, scene of the
Well,
movie,
why?
I don't know. I have no freaking idea. I mean, seriously. And there were even another movie, a prequel about the
Oh yes,
genie.
I can't wait. Swedish. I cannot wait. I literally, I am so ready for when they make a live action remake based off that table in Belle's Magical World. It's gonna be so exciting. I can't wait until someone opens it. Opens the drawer next to the table. Forget about it. It's gonna be the best part of the movie.
Live
Oh,
action
forget
version
about
of
it.
the
When
movie.
they move it to downstairs, forget about it. Everyone's gonna be chomping on their popcorn and having a blast.
On that popcorn.
Look who's finally back.
I mean,
Uh,
if someone decides to make a movie, let's say triple X version of movie of the any of those Disney classical ones. You know, Snow White, Pocahontas, and all like that. Boy, I wouldn't be surprised. Though there is actually one other movie or movies. They actually include every single character, which is the Descendants, where they actually focus on the children, the kids of some of the bad guys and the good guys. And that after the Beast and Belle marry, they united every single country, the kingdom in that world, which and forming as a single country, United States of Erodol, or how to call, and every bad guy that died in movies like Ursula, Evil Queen, Gaston, and all that, magically restored to alive and put on an island, which also had a magical barrier so they couldn't even leave it. That's another thing about it. And now this also they made a remake. The last one they made was haven't seen it yet though. Oh boy. I know that even this is not top bill, but
Mm.
franchise. Uh, during the one the first when the Empire first came to Endor, well, let's say the first garrison of troops that was because the Ewoks attacked and ate them. No joke.
Mm. Well, at least they're getting good vitamins. I'm
That's a
kidding.
bit dark. I mean, could you imagine those
Yeah,
two furball?
at least they're getting at least they're get, hey, at least they're getting their vitamins in them.
Mm. And if you
Shut
remember
up.
the
I'm
scene where
kidding.
that, but if you remember the scene of the walker, that's one on Endor that they used uh uh those those giant logs to smash into it. Well, it turned out this actually it was actually supposed to be it was damaged during the transport of to the movie set. So George Lucas decided why not to have it smash to pieces, and he actually took it back to Skywalker Ranch and buried it on his. And many fans may wonder those giant logs that the Ewoks kept after the trees that smashed into that walker, were they actually planted that from the beginning? No, they weren't. Of the Ewoks, a giant tall creature. I don't remember the name of it. Giant. Oh man. If I had to say, I think Malakat is mostly of the characters, Lumiere, and Game Guy probably like the Clocksworth, like Cox. And sorry, Kubo would be the beast. I mean, after all, he's a hairy beast as himself, so that makes sense. Well, I probably should end here today. It has only been 2 hours, even though it was a bit longer than it's supposed to. the thing that Sword and Stone live action could do to ruin it for everyone is that they would make Merlin a woman and gay. Um, yeah, that might be crazy in a potential. Yeah, that might be one of the ways to ruin that way, but Robert, you don't have to worry about Disney's remake of Sword and Stone. Even it was originally supposed to be made for the next few years, but it had to actually put on hold, including a Hunchback of Notre Dame had also been put on hold. And the next year, the only ones that the live action is gonna be made next year, or will actually gonna be released, is Snow White. There is only like a few more movies that's planned to be live action.
Actually gonna.
I wonder if there's gonna be if they were to make a live action. I do wonder. What if that they decide to make not Disney, but what if there would have been a live action version of the Digimon movies? If that happened, I'd be like, thank you, but no thanks. It's just no thank you. But some people are like, what about like another anime series like Sailor Moon? Well, that has not been up. That has not actually been in the first one. They actually done that many years ago. They already made that. Same thing as for Death Note. Also another anime. They have made action, including Netflix series, an American one. In my opinion, terrible. It was way too terrible. I seen the original series and it was pretty good. Oh man, that was just. Well, that probably should end here. So 2 hours and 2 minutes. It's been an interesting stream though. So yeah, this and I got nowhere what to say next time. Well, this is
Goodbye.